Hello, Mike Cook here. I'm here in my garage gym and I'm ready to give you a special edition of Anti-Doping Updates. This is episode 14. Today we've got a great story for you today. It is about corruption at the highest levels. It concerns a Russian high jumper and the administrators at the Russian Athletic Federation who helped him try to get away with the consequences of a whereabouts violation. All right, let's get started. So in November of 2015, World Athletics, which is the governing body for track and field, suspended the Russian Athletic Federation for corruption and manipulation of their anti-doping program. As part of their reinstatement, Russian Athletic Federation had to pay fines, and only certain athletes that were cleared by the World Athletics Doping Panel could participate in international competitions. That program is known as the Authorized Neutral Athletes, or ANA. Danil Lysenko was one of those ANA athletes, Authorized Neutral Athletes. He is the #1 ranked high jumper in the world. He's just 20 years old. He's a great athlete. He's one of those Authorized Neutral Athletes. He has a personal best of 2.4 meters, which is just 5 centimeters off the world record of 2.45 meters. That world record has held since 1993. It's one of the oldest records in world athletics. He was #2 in the World Championships in 2017 and #1 in 2018 World Championships. Like all international athletes, Danil Lysenko was in the registered testing pool. That means he had to make quarterly filings in ADAMS, which is a anti-doping administration management system, so that you have to list a 1-hour period where you will be each day for that quarter, time, location, and place. If you miss a test or don't do that filing on time, any combination of 3 of those in a 12-month period is considered an anti-doping rule violation with a possible 4-year sanction if it's intentional. And in this case, World Athletics was investigating Danil Lysenko for a possible whereabouts violations. He'd missed a test in September 2017 and he failed to file his whereabouts filings on time for the 2nd and 3rd quarters of 2018. World Athletics has authorized its Athletes Integrity Unit to investigate anti-doping matters. So after Lysenko was informed of his possible violation and asked for an explanation, there is a meeting, and that involves the other characters in this story. Those other characters are Artur Karaman. He's the executive board member of Russian Athletic Federation, and he's the president of the Moscow region of the Russian Athletic Federation. Dmitry Shailenkin, he's the president of the Russian Athletic Federation. Evgeny Zaguruko, that is Lysenko's coach. Alexander Parkin, he's the executive director of Russian Athletic Federation. And Elena Ikonikova, she is the Russian Athletic Federation's anti-doping coordinator. And Elena Orlova, she's the senior manager at Russian Athletic Federation. So they all get together for a meeting and ask Lysenko for a possible explanation as to his filing failures. And Lysenko says, well, I was in this training camp in Portugal in March and I got sick there. And then he says, oh, also I had this car accident in July, but the filing failure is in June. So the deadline for filing is June 31st, June 30th. So at the meeting, they come up with this plan. And the plan is to forge documents to allege that he was in a clinic for appendicitis when he returned home from the training camp in Portugal. And for the second filing failure, their plan is to say that he was in this car accident in June, not in July, and because of that, he was distraught, and that's his reason for the third filing failure. Orlova, the anti-doping person, and Ikonikova, they help him produce the documents. And the interesting part of the story is the coach asked the executive director, is it possible to get forged medical documents? And he says, no, that's not possible. But the next day, forged medical documents are delivered directly to the coach's house. So Athletics Integrity Units gets the documents and then asks for more information. They ask for the blood test results. They ask for the urine test results. They ask for the ultrasound. All these things that Lysenko said he had, but didn't, because he never went to a clinic in the first place. They asked him to produce all these. Then there's this effort to produce all these forged documents. Lysenko goes to this other clinic in his hometown, 1,300 kilometers away from Moscow, gets all these tests done. They're refabricated to make it look like they came from March rather than when they were. And then they present that to the Athletics Integrity Unit. The Athletics Integrity Unit doesn't buy it, and then they request, then comes the big request, the request for production of documents and the request for imaging of devices. Ikonikova and Orlova both fail to comply with the request for imaging of devices. They don't want to do that. The Athletics Integrity Unit found out that it was all a sham. Eventually Lysenko admitted to it was a sham, and that he never went to a clinic in Moscow in March. The car accident happened after the deadline for filing failure. And he had help producing all those documents from the highest levels in sport. So the consequences. Athletics Integrity Unit came down hard on everyone. They found that Karamian, Shailakin, Parkin, Orlova, and Ikonikova, all guilty of tampering, complicity, failing to report an anti-doping rule violation, and failing to cooperate with an investigation, sanctioned for 4 years. Orlova also sanctioned for 6 years for failing to cooperate with the investigation, namely the refusal to allow imaging of computer and cell phone devices. Ikonikova also sanctioned for 8 years for refusing to cooperate with the investigation and refusing to give up the electronic devices. The Russian Athletic Federation was also sanctioned for failing to report an anti-doping rule violation, failing to cooperate with investigation, obstructing an investigation, bringing the sport into disrepute, and dishonesty in relationship to doping. The World Athletics was fined $10 million and reduced the number of authorized neutral athletes to 10 athletes for Tokyo 2020 Olympics and 10 athletes for the 2021 international season. $5 million of that had to be paid by July of 2020, with the remainder suspended for 2 years. World Athletics also has new reinstatement criteria in order to be a fully fledged member, or reinstatement criteria for Russian athletics. They have to appoint a reinstatement commission, including 2 athletes and 2 international experts designated by World Athletics. The reinstatement commission is going to work towards a plan for zero tolerance of doping in sport. And the international experts need to work to implement the plan. The remaining cases against Lysenko and coach Zagoruko still haven't been decided yet. We'll wait to see what those are. I can't wait to see the results of that. So that's it for anti-doping updates this week. We'll have more stories for you next week.